All right. We are live here.
Are we live?
We're live. All right. People are jumping in here. Tarek,
All right. How's everybody doing today?
let's say hi. Hey, guys, we're going to give it just a couple minutes, make sure everybody gets a chance to jump on here.
And I hope you guys are excited because I am thrilled about this. I worked my tail off to put this together for you guys, so it's going to be fun.
We got some good stuff in store today. I can't wait. Let's give it a couple more seconds here.
Where does it show people coming on? I see some people. Oh, very good. All right, guys. Today's the big day. Bringing everything I know to the world. You guys have been seeing me do it on TV for years. And I actually sat down in a seat for like a whole bunch of hours and filmed all this amazing content. So this program is going to be great. So a few more seconds here. We'll let a couple more people get on and we will get started.
This webinar is all about investment strategies that Tarek would use to come out of a down market as a successful real estate investor. By the way, I think we should add to that title too, probably what he did do to come out of the last down market as a successful.
A whole lot of different things. And,
cool.
And right now, by the way, with everything going on, my investment company is crushing it. So it is a good time to be involved with real estate. That's what I know.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead, guys, and let's get started. I know that we're going to have a lot more people joining here, and, we'll welcome them as they come.
Are we on video for everyone?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and and jump in here real quick. We'll get this presentation started. All right. So real quick, guys, my name is Josh Troy. Obviously, I'm here with Tarek El Moussa. And, there's a lot of crazy things going on right now, obviously. The coronavirus, this quarantine stuff, it's just completely unprecedented, really scary, a lot of fear. And, Tarek has just been getting bombarded with people asking, what can we expect to see in the real estate market, right? What's actually happening? How does this impact the real estate market? And where do you think we're headed? And, there really wasn't a better way to be able to answer all of these people's questions other than making a webinar like this. So, this is something that I can personally say we worked around the clock to put together. We put a lot into this, and I think there's going to be a ton of value for everybody that's on the webinar today. Tarek, you want to say anything before we jump in here?
I'm just super excited, guys. You guys have seen me flipping houses on TV for 10 years. And I finally get the opportunity to really share everything I know about real estate investing. And I'm a guy that started with nothing. And today I have a real estate empire due to the power of hard work, will, and motivation. And I'm on a mission right now to teach as many people as I possibly can how to change their life through real estate.
Awesome. And you know what? When we were talking about this webinar, we're talking back and forth and we're thinking about it. One of the things that we're saying is, something we always see is people watch Tarek on a webinar. They'll see him talking about real estate and they'll say, well, of course he's going to make it sound easy. He's been in the business for over 20 years, been flipping houses on TV for 10. Of course he's going to make it sound easy. And, something that we thought would be so cool is like, hey, well, hold on a second. What if someone like me, who just a couple short years ago knew absolutely nothing about real estate investing, what if I was able to actually do this webinar and participate in this webinar with him, since I knew nothing about real estate investing and I learned everything I know from Tarek, as my mentor, as my partner, as one of my closest friends. And it's just been an awesome, awesome journey. So I think that this is going to give you a couple different perspectives, the expert and someone like myself learning from him. So I think that we really thought about almost everything to just give the most value possible on this webinar. So let's go ahead and get started in here. Right. First thing I want to say for anybody who's on this webinar, I think that something that everybody's heard at some point in our lives is that you need money to make money. And look, of course, having money is a huge resource. It could be very helpful. It could speed things up. It could make things a little bit easier or smoother. But when it comes to flipping houses or when it comes to real estate investing, it's just not true. And so for anyone on this webinar, who kind of automatically disqualifies himself, like myself, by the way, when I first looked at real estate investing, I want you to kind of put that aside for the time being, because we're going to talk about some stuff in here that's going to really give you a new perspective on that.
And here's something, guys, to realize. When I first became a real estate investor, it was right out of the recession. I was completely broke. I had no money. So I built the first part of my house flipping business with no money. And obviously over time, I built it and now I use capital for marketing. But when I got started, I had nothing. So there are plenty of ways to get started with real estate with no money.
Awesome. So let's just go over a couple of things that you're going to learn on this webinar. The first thing is, why is there massive opportunity created specifically right now, right, with the coronavirus? And I know for some of you, you're looking at this and it almost seems a little bit twisted, or at least the opposite of what you were thinking, where for us, for real estate investors, there's massive opportunity created from a time like this. And we're going to go deep on some of those things later in the webinar. The second thing is how Tarek built his career in the last recession. I mean, you know, Tarek always says that the recession of 2008, it actually started in 2007. And he believes that we're looking at times that are kind of like 2006 right now. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, all the signs are there. We're seeing an increase in inventory. We're seeing a decrease in demand. And what do you think happens when homes keep going up for sale and buyers keep not buying? Well, in order to increase the demand, you have to drop the price. Last month, guys, there was a few million people missed their mortgage payments. Think about that. Last month, millions of people missed their mortgage payments. So what does that mean for the investor 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year from now? It means there's going to be opportunity. So how do you capitalize on opportunity? You get started now.
Awesome. Some of the things we want to talk about is debunking some of these myths that we really think are preventing some of you from having that success. There's just a lot of things that you hear out there that aren't accurate, and we're going to discuss some of those on the webinar here. How to get started investing with no money and poor credit. That might sound a little bit strange for a second, but like Tarek said, you know, when he first got started, it was right after he lost everything. He was also affected by 2008. And we want to share some of the strategies that he used to actually jump back and get started.
And you guys got to remember something. I have no real estate background. I had no mentors, no coaches. My family's not in real estate. I grew up in Buena Park, California. I got into real estate at 20 years old. I learned how to flip houses on my own. I taught myself, and I built this amazing career from it. And that's why I'm excited to share my knowledge with you.
Awesome. Lastly is the investor mentality and methodology, which you're already getting and you'll continue throughout this entire webinar. And we want to talk about flipping in a down market and Tarek's strategies. You know, obviously he got very well known from his shows and it's all about flipping houses, but we want to talk about some of the nuances, or really some of the reasons why it's such a great strategy and different strategies that it involves in a down market.
And I know there are a lot of people on the webinar right now that are active real estate investors, which is amazing. And one of the big things to understand is the way you flip houses, it changes based on the economy, changes based on the market. So when the prices are going up, I flip houses a certain way. When the prices are going down, I flip houses a certain way. So you always have to be prepared based on the market.
Awesome. So just a few short goals here, guys. One of the first things is that we want to give you hope for opportunity. We know that it's scary times. We know that there's crazy times, and really it's driven by fear. And there's going to be very real issues, by the way. We're not just saying, you know, it's just fear and it's a bunch of panic. There are really real issues in the economy that we're going to see. But we want to give you hope that there is massive opportunity, and not just by saying there's massive opportunity. We want to show you what those opportunities are that you should pay attention to. Right. You know, Warren Buffett, probably the most famous investor in the entire world, he himself said that he's never seen anything like this in over 89 years of investing. You know, he also says how to become a successful investor is be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. You know, realistically, there's two conversations that are taking place right now all across the country. And the first one is how will we survive? And the second one is honestly the investor conversation. And they're talking about, hey, how can we capitalize? And that's just the truth. And I guess my question for everybody watching this is, which one will you prepare to have? Right? You know, when it comes to the first rule of investing, right, Tarek? I mean, this is something you always say to me, and I laugh only because I remember these conversations. But everybody watching this webinar can fill in those blanks. It's buy, sell.
Yeah. Buy, sell. And guys, check this out. I want you to look at this screen really quick. The picture on the top left and the picture on the left on the bottom. those pictures were taken while I was submitting my home video for Flip or Flop. It was nothing but a pipe dream. I had Christina taking pictures and she used the camera and we pitched our home video and I believed it would happen. So looking back at this picture, that was my first flip. I was standing in a condo in Santa Ana, California. And obviously today, 10 years later, I flipped over 500 houses to 100 rental properties. I've done millions of dollars in transactions, and I just absolutely love the life I have because of real estate.
Awesome, man. So we're really looking at all these things coming together right now as the perfect storm. And when we get into this and we start talking about these opportunities creative, what you're going to understand is it's not just one thing. It's not a couple things that are lining up. There are so many things that all came together at the same exact time that create massive opportunity as an investor. And, you know, some of these things are people are incentivized to sell below market value more than ever, which we'll explain. Construction costs typically get cheaper in a down market. The government and the banking industry is doing everything they can to stimulate the economy and get people into houses, really trying to help the real estate market. And here's one of the most interesting ones is that we're having a recession caused by health issues, not economic systemic flaws like the 2007-2008 recession. And Tarek, why don't you say, I know you were on, I think it was a Fox News interview the other day, and they were talking to you about some of this stuff. Why don't you say why you think that last bullet there is such an important one and kind of the market bouncing back, so to speak?
I mean, it's just different thing. Like the last recession we had was based off of faulty lending. I mean, they were literally giving loans away to anybody. So people were going in buying an $800,000 house, a $600,000 house with zero down stated income. So they were just giving loans away. So what happened was all these people had no skin in the game. They had no down payment money. So when the market turned, they just walked. It's different now, guys. And here's why it's different. They're not just giving loans away. All the buyers that have been buying homes since 2008 and 2009, they've actually qualified. They proved their income. They proved their credit. They proved their W-2s. So all these people aren't just going to be walking this time, right? Because they have equity. But a lot of them are going to be losing their jobs and losing their businesses, and they're going to want to keep their equity. And the only way to keep their equity is by selling the house. And a lot of times, the best person to sell that house to is an investor just like you.
Awesome. So next thing we want to do is give you some practical strategies. I'm sure some of these things make sense. It might not even be the first time that you've heard some of the stuff that we've already discussed. But listen, guys, it's not about the secrets that create success. It's about the details that make the difference. That's an important line for me. I always like to emphasize that because, you know, a lot of people think that there's some hidden secret that's been, kept from you for a long time. And it really isn't. A lot of the main concepts, a lot of the main principles, the fundamentals are going to make sense. But it's the details we want to start giving you today that are going to make a huge difference. And some of these details are, for example, how to get properties for deals that others can't because you buy situationally based houses, not market value. And you'll know what that means later if you don't already. How to accurately determine the ARV, which stands for after repair value, in a volatile market. And just think about that for a second. If you can find a deal, if you can get it for a price most other people can't get it at because they don't know how, and you were able to determine how much that house would be worth after it was fixed up, which sometimes isn't even a lot of work, which I'll explain later also, and you knew what it would be worth after that, right? How valuable would that be all while the market, is in a down cycle? Next thing, understanding absorption rate. One of the things we say is what's hot and what's not. It's one of the first things, actually, for a matter of fact, that Tarek ever taught me. And it's really just kind of how to read the market, how to read the inventory. And it's one of my favorite tools that I like to use.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, reading the real estate market, you can almost simplify it and really look at it based on supply and demand. So the first thing that I taught Josh is, well, if you want to know how the prices are doing in your area, you got to check the supply. So what does that mean? If you take your house and you pull up all the homes for sale in your neighborhood, if you have 10 homes for sale, think about this. If you have 10 homes for sale and 1 home in escrow, what does that mean? That means pricing is going to go down because only 1 out of 10 or 11 houses are selling. Supply is much higher than demand. Now, in a few years ago, or even in 2004 and 5, you would see maybe 1 home for sale, and then you would see 5 homes in escrow. What does that mean? There is no supply and the demand is super high. So the prices go up. So really, to understand the real estate market, you need to learn how to run absorption rates, which of course we teach you throughout the program.
Awesome. So then we also want to talk about, how to buy these houses using other people's money. We're going to talk about hard money, just some basic fundamentals on that, and some exit strategies for maximizing profit, right? Lastly, we want to give you a clear action plan. Listen, I want you guys to understand this. One of the things Tarek says all the time is to be a successful investor, you have to do two things. One, you have to be able to recognize opportunity. And two, you need to be able to take action fast, right? So you guys have all the excuses you need right now to switch gears. I know sometimes it's hard to kind of break away from the plans that we had, or, it's a little bit hard to justify starting to learn something else. But, right now you all have the direction that you've been wanting, right? You have the economic climate that makes it the perfect time in which we're going to explain. And everything that needs to line up has, right? So don't let it pass you by. And I think that you're going to start seeing those things later. Our promise to you guys, we want to be fully transparent. We want to be fully thorough. We've been in this industry a little while. We've seen a lot of webinars. We've seen a lot of educational type products. And one of the things that we see is, there are some things out there that aren't fully thorough. And we tried our hardest. And if we fall short, we apologize, but I don't think we will, because
we didn't fall short on nothing. This is a great program. There's nothing falling.
But we're gonna go really, really thorough and deep on this today and be fully transparent, giving you all the stuff that we know here, right? If you stay to the end, just as a thank you, because look, I know your time's valuable, especially in a time like this. If you stay to the very end, we want to give you the how to use other people's money to invest guide. This talks a lot about hard money, the differences between traditional lending and hard money, the different types of OPM, other people's money, how to qualify. And so on. And lastly, we're going to do a live Q&A with Tarek. This webinar was designed to answer most questions we think someone like you would have. However, we obviously aren't psychic. So at the end, Tarek does want to dedicate his time, and we're going to go through as many questions as we possibly can, and he's going to give you as many answers as he can. All right. What I really need from you is just a couple of quick things. One, the undivided attention. Take it from me. This stuff, it isn't easy, and I don't want you guys to think it's easy. There's a lot to it, and I think if you look away for a few slides, you might be a little bit distracted. So just try to pay attention. I think that it will do you a lot of good, and it will be very valuable. Two is be open-minded. I think that you wouldn't appreciate it if you watched this entire webinar and just heard everything that you've already heard before in the past. Now, that wouldn't be very valuable to you. So you're going to hear new information. You're going to hear new perspectives. And I just ask you to be open-minded to that, because we're learning from the pro. We're learning from the expert, and he's done this for a long time very successfully. Three, be hard on us. When we have these questions and answers, ask the things that you don't understand. Point out the things that you thought to be different. Let's have a conversation. I think it will help everyone, because we'll be able to get into some good discussion. And the last thing is be involved. Don't be on the sidelines. If you have a question, ask it. That's how everybody here will learn. So the last thing that I want to say before we jump into Tarek's stuff, and then we're going to start going through all these strategy, is who am I on the other end of this webinar with Tarek, right? And it's super quick, because honestly, it isn't that important to you. But for some of you that are curious, just wanted to say I'm Josh Troy. Tarek's a mentor, a partner, and a best friend to me. And, one of the cool things is he started off as a client of mine actually several years ago. And, the relationship continued to evolve, and now we're partners, and we do a bunch of different things together. And, when I started off, what I was doing, and this is important to say, and it really kind of qualifies me, why I'm qualified to talk about some of this stuff, is that we were producing video ads and we were producing commercials for Tarek's real estate investing company. And these were the campaigns that they would actually find sellers, right? So I was actively involved in understanding who these sellers were, how to target these sellers. And I really got to understand the whole acquisition strategy, which became a very valuable skill set for me, especially as we continue to expand our relationship. And because of that, and because of the evolution of our skill sets combined and our experience, made a decision a while back, actually the beginning of this year, which was exciting for us, we just wanted to make the best real estate education company. And it was something that Tarek always said when he was in a position to do one time. He actually told me this when we first met. when he was in a position to do so, he wanted to start a real estate education company to teach as many people as possible.
And let me just jump in here real quick and explain why, guys. So at 20 years old, I just got into real estate. My first 6 months in the business, I completely failed. I made $0. I was the most motivated, driven 20-year-old kid in the world. I just didn't know what to do. And somehow, luckily, I ended up going to a free real estate sales seminar in Buena Park, California at a Sequoia Athletic Club. And I heard this speaker, his name was Mike Ferry. And I know a lot of you on this line know who Mike Ferry is. And I remember him speaking, telling me that anything was possible, telling the crowd that you can believe in yourself, telling the crowd that you can chase your dreams. What I did is I signed up for coaching that day. And let me tell you what happened. Within 90 days, as a 20-year-old kid, I ended up earning $120,000 in commission. I broke every single company sales record. I went from moving in my mom's garage to buying $1 million home. So the reason I bring this up is because when I was 20 years old, I just got out of high school. Like, you guys remember that. Nobody even knew what coaching was or training was. I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. I just knew I wanted to be successful. And it's amazing how much someone can change your life just by helping you, just by paying attention to you, just by kind of showing you the way. So this man changed my life. And ever since I was that 20-year-old kid, I just promised myself I'd be on a mission to just share the knowledge and help change as many other lives as possible, just like that man changed my life. So this course is very special to me because I truly want you to change your life through real estate because it's possible. And I know it's possible because I did it for myself.
And we became best friends through the process. Well, so listen, guys, that what Tarek just said is a great segue into this because there's a lot of things that I think most of you watching, or some of you at least watching, do know about Tarek, but there's also a good amount of things that you don't know. And, you know, this is someone that can make an impact. And let's start with some of the things that you guys probably do know. Listen, he is in his 9th season, right?
Yeah, season 9 of Flip or Flop, guys.
9th season of Flip or Flop.
And let me say one thing. This is about chasing your dreams and believing in yourself and just going for it. I want everybody to listen to this. I pitched getting Flip or Flop, the house flipping TV show, before I ever flipped a house. So think about that. I had a thought, I had a belief, and I went for it. We are 9 seasons later. Think about that.
Yeah, now he has his new show, Flipping 101. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's airing Thursday nights. He's flipped over 500 houses, has a rental portfolio of about 100, right? It changes because obviously he sells some, he buys some, and he's bought and sold over 1,000 houses. And I want to say something right here I always think about. One time, you know, we were at his one of his vacation rentals in La Quinta, California, and I remember we were in public and, you know, somebody recognized Tarek and said, you know, what are you doing out here? And Tarek had explained he was at his one of his vacation properties, and she said, you know, oh, okay, but you're originally from Orange County, right? And he said yes. And she asked him this. She said, well, how many houses do you have? And you know, it's something Tarek says a lot, so he didn't really think anything of it. He kind of counted, did some quick math in his head, and he was like, you know, almost 100 now. And I will never forget the look on this woman's face. I mean, she didn't comprehend it. She didn't even know what he was referring to. Because look, I think we could all agree, you know, even if someone owns 1 or 2 houses, we would consider them pretty successful. I mean, not a lot of people own a handful of houses. So it's just, you know, it was crazy to see that conversation. And let me ask you guys something. Guess how to buy 1,000 houses? Not a trick question. One at a time, guys. Tarek started from the beginning, and he's going to show you exactly what he did to get started here in a sec, right? So let's talk about your first flip. And obviously, if you guys see the title, maybe some of you already get the reference with Marshmello there. We love that song.
This is my first flip, guys. This right here is my first flip. I made $34,000 on that first condo in Santa Ana. Bought it for $115,000, and back then, guys, to make $34,000 after the recession was like making $340 million. Like, I went from being completely broke to completing my first flip, start to finish, closed escrow under 60 days, made $34,000, and never looked back. That was the biggest, most defining moment in my life. I closed that first deal, I got that first check, and I knew for the rest of my life I would be a real estate investor.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, he actually came out the stage to that song. One of the last times he spoke, actually, before the whole quarantine thing. But yeah, you know, he said he did almost everything wrong, but the one thing he did right is it was a successful deal. right? And things can change really fast, guys. I mean, the first year, Tarek flipped 3 houses. Second year, he flipped 18. The third year, he flipped 48 houses. And the fourth year, he flipped 86 houses. And you can't do that without the systems, without the scalability, and without the knowledge to really build a team and an empire around you.
Yeah, and one thing for me, guys, like I never wanted to be the investor that flipped 2-3 houses a year. Like, that's not enough. I'm sorry. For me, that is not enough. I want to be in the investor that does thousands of homes a year, but in order to get there, it takes time. So as you can see, I exponentially grew my business every single year. So my methods of real estate investing is to teach you how to do a lot of transactions. I'm not trying to teach you guys how to do 1 transaction or 2 transactions a year. I'm trying to teach you how to do a lot of transactions.
Awesome. And quick quote here, guys. He lost everything in 2008, made the decision to flip houses in 2009, and was a millionaire by 2011. And I just want to say really quickly, we're not saying that that's going to happen to everyone. I don't know. I've never even met you, but it happened for him, right? It happened for him, and it happened with a lot of hard work and the right knowledge, right? So here's the things that most of you don't know here.
I'm gonna jump in 1 second, guys. So if you look at this picture right here, this was season 2 of Flip or Flop. I was battling cancer. I had thyroid cancer and testicular cancer in 2013. It was a defining moment. I had a choice. I had a choice to keep fighting for my life and my career and my show, or stay home and stay in bed. Instead, I got out there, I filmed and I fought, and I filmed on camera looking like I do in that picture, just because I refused to quit on my dreams. So I'm just trying to show you anything is possible. You just got to believe in yourself.
The one thing, if you're reading these notes, that I really wanted to zone in on is this last one right here, guys. He pitched a house flipping TV show before he ever flipped his first house. It's one of the craziest things that he ever told me. And really the reason we mention that is because you have to believe in yourself. And trust me, I know some of you are watching this and you just can't wait to get to these strategies, and we're about to, but I have to say these things because they're super important. Because, I remember somebody showed me a picture the other day. It said you could have all the right resources, but if you don't know how to use them, you'll get nowhere. And it was a picture with a guy standing on a pile of ladders, right? If he used one of them the right way, he would have been able to get over that wall. And so I just want to say this, you have to believe in yourself. One of Tarek's sayings he always tells me is, before you invest in anything, you need to invest in yourself.
And the reason I say that is because when I started in real estate sales, I completely failed. And then I invested in myself. I signed up for coaching, and I changed my life. So I'm a big believer on investing in yourself in order to perform at the highest level possible.
Right. And for those of you who watch this and you understand everything that's happening, and you're able to spot that opportunity and you're able to take fast action, I'm sure you might have saw on his social media, Tarek just announced his house flipping course. And we are going to give you guys a special offer. It's the first time we're ever talking about it today on this webinar at the end. And if it's something that just doesn't interest you and you're not ready for that step, that's okay too. We still want you to learn on this webinar because there's a lot of things to take away from this, and Homeschooled will be there. But for some of you who recognize that opportunity and you want to take action, that option will be there for you as well. All right. So now let's start talking about some of these myths or some of the reasons that people don't make money. And I'm going to go a little bit fast through these because really I want to get to the bulk of the meat here, the bulk of the education here that Tarek's going to expand on, right? And here's some of the reasons that people don't make money in real estate. The first one is they're not educated, right? They don't know what to do. They try to do everything themselves. They have a lack of resources, which really can be just not educated, because if you get educated, you'll find the right resources. They have the wrong vehicle, the wrong systems. They have no systems to scale, and they don't take action when they need to. And Tarek said something the other day. He said, opportunity comes and goes. If you don't take action when you spot it, it might never come again. And the last two that we're obviously zoning in on is the education, which you're doing right now, and you're learning about real estate investing, and you're taking action, right? So now we're going to start getting into some of this education stuff here, guys, is that if you guys have ever seen the cash flow quadrant, the only thing that I want to say about this, it's a whole other layer so that I'm not going to get into, but I want to point out something that's super important. Here's the main difference, right? And this is the investor mindset. The left side thinkers, right? Left side thinkers, they make money, they pay taxes, they spend what's left. Right? Now, the right side thinkers, they make money, they spend the money on investments, and they pay taxes on what's left. And that's what we want to teach you how to do. We want you to be a right side thinker. We want you to have the investor mindset, and we want you to understand how these things work. Most people are living by the 40-40-40 rule. What that means is people that work 40 hours a week for 40 years to retire with only 40% of their income. If you ask me, that's not something I'm interested in. And investors live by a very different rule, and we call this the 7-7-7 rule. Investors work hard for 7 years to create 7 streams of income to retire with 7 figures. And that was something I'd say Tarek is definitely interested in.
I would say that's much better.
And me too. So, guys, let's talk about why this is important to understand. I think to understand what's following is that this is the industry of limitless opportunity, right? You can make life-changing money fast in real estate. You don't need a fancy degree. Real estate does not discriminate. There's a strategy for every market condition, like Tarek said earlier. It's easy to understand. When I say easy, everything that's worth anything is going to take some hard work. But it can be easier, in my opinion, than it would be to go get a master's degree to become a doctor, or a doctor's degree, I guess you'd say.
I think it would be a lot harder to be a doctor than a real estate investor. Let's just be real.
And the only thing that limits you guys, or that limits your success, is you. So here's the 4 things that we're going to talk about real quick. So these are the different ways to make money in real estate. Obviously, we know that there's more, but these are the 4 main ones that we want to zone in on. The first is becoming a luxury real estate agent, right? Which really isn't an investor. The second is build a large rental portfolio. The third might be to invest in multifamily and commercial property. And the 4th is fix and flip strategies. And we're just going to talk about those bottom 3 here, because the first isn't an investor.
So what I like to do, guys, is use number 4, fix and flip strategies, take money from there, and then do number 2, buy rentals. So I make my money flipping houses so I can buy long-term assets.
Perfect. So let's start getting into this, guys. And the main thing that we want to talk about, it's not just what the strategies are, it's why they're important to understand right now. And we're going to explain, like I said earlier, it's the details that make the difference. So for those of you who, aren't familiar, or even if you are, let's just start with the basics, right? How does fixing and flipping houses work? And what's funny is, for me, when I first started and when I first met Tarek, I didn't even understand this part. And this alone made a world of difference for me. All you're doing here is buying an asset under market value. You're determining the after repair value, so what it would be worth once you fix it up. You renovate according to what it might be worth once it's fixed, and then you sell it for more money, and the profit is made on that spread. So here's how it works, right? Here's the pros and cons of flipping houses. The first pro is you can make large sums of money fast, right? You can get in and out of deals in just months. You could use other people's money, which we love. We could use hard money, which we're going to talk to you about. And you can literally change your entire career fast. It can be a quick process. The cons is it can be riskier, right? The higher the risk, the higher the reward. It's fast paced, so you need to know what you're doing. All right. Now, really quickly, Tarek just mentioned it. Here are really the 3 main ways to make money in real estate. These are the 3 types of ways that you make money. The first one is income, earned income, right? This is when you make money for the work that you do. This would be like fixing houses. The second one is passive income. That's when your houses make money, like income properties, a rental portfolio. And the third one is portfolio income, when your money that you made from that passive income makes more money. You're able to leverage that equity you have and buy more assets. And ultimately, as a real estate investor, you want to have all 3. Now, with income properties, the way it works, and here's the thing, this slide, I really want you to pay attention to what I say here, because this actually has a lot to do with the strategy in a down market, but not for you. And we'll explain that in just a second here. But just remember what I say about income property, so it makes sense when I wrap back to it later. So what you're doing, you're finding a property that cash flows, right? So essentially the rent exceeds the expenses. That's the basics. You evaluate the repair work, which typically you don't want a whole lot here. And you're going to rent it to a tenant, right? You can hire a management company to maintain. Tarek has rental properties all over the country. And he has different management companies that oversee them. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons again here. So the pros, it's a reoccurring revenue stream. You're getting paid monthly on that. It's passive income, so it does a lot of the stuff without you actively being involved day to day. You have the tenants paying down your principal on the house, and it's building equity over a long time. So this is kind of the buy and hold strategy, right? Now, the cons here, though, is you do have an asset to manage. It's not like a flip where once you're done, you sell it off and you don't really have to worry about it. You are going to have it for a long period of time. And guess what? Tenants can be a pain and maintenance can be a pain, and it does happen. And I think the important thing that Tarek noticed really early on is that it doesn't produce large sums of cash in short periods of time. I mean, you're not going to get a rental property unless there's one that I don't really know about right now. You're not going to get a rental property and be able to quit your job the next day.
Yeah, so here's the thing, guys. Like, to buy rental properties, you need cash. And if you don't have a lot of cash, what happens is you buy a couple houses and you run out of money. So how do you buy more houses? Well, you got to make more money. So for me, I always focus my earning on flipping so I can take the capital for long-term investing. You have to look at it as a plan. So you flip houses to make money, you buy rentals to become wealthy.
Awesome. And the last, is multifamily and commercial. I'm not going to spend a lot of the time on this because it isn't what we're talking about here today. It's part of his strategies that he would use in this down cycle that he wants to tell you about today. However, it's really like a rental portfolio on steroids, right? It's much larger assets. It's a little bit different. It's all about increasing the NOI. But in terms of passive income and monthly cash flow, it still is that long-term play, usually. So the one that we want to focus in on and the nuances and how it's different in a time like this, obviously, is fix and flip. And here's some of the easy to understand concepts or steps, right? Don't overcomplicate this. And that's something that Tarek does very, very well. I have watched so many things online. I've watched so many YouTube videos. I've listened to so many other trainers. They complicate it. They use a lot of big fancy words. And I can't pay attention. I can't focus. I get lost. Tarek is very good. He has a unique skill on just slowing things down and making it simple. So here it is. These are the three main steps. You buy a property that needs work, you make it nicer, and you sell it for more, right? So what you need to know to do that is how to find them, which we're going to talk about how that's different in a time like this, how much to put into them, also different, and how much you can sell it for. Okay, now the 4 phases of flipping are finding the houses, finding the deals, funding it, right? A lot of people are going to use other people's money if they don't have the cash to spend on it right away, like Tarek did it when he started, fixing up the house, and flipping it.
Also, guys, there's wholesaling. So once you find the house, there is no funding, there is no fixing, there's just flipping to an investor. So that's a whole nother way to make money with real estate, especially when you have no money to start.
Right. Great point. So this might be the most important thing. And this is always true, not just in a time like this, but you make your money in the buy. And some of you might have heard that. I know I heard it probably 10 times before I truly understand it. Tarek, why is that the most important thing when you're flipping houses or just as a real estate investor making money in the buy?
Well, the biggest misconception with real estate is a lot of people think just because the house is a piece of junk and just because the house is a fixer-upper, it's a good deal. When that is very far from the truth. What makes a good deal is what you pay for the actual property. So when you're buying the house, that's when you make your money. Meaning if you pay too much when you buy, you're going to be in trouble when you sell.
Awesome. It's the one mistake you can't make, guys. I mean, if you buy a house for too much money, you eliminated your profit margin. I mean, you can only sell the house for so much.
Right. And if you guys have seen my new show, Flipping 101 on HGTV, where I literally teach and coach people how to flip houses, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And by the way, the new episode's on tonight at 9:00 p.m. I got to throw that in there.
So, all right. So now let's talk about this. This is the stuff you've all been waiting for here. Now, like Tarek just said, he said something really interesting. If you caught it, he said, when you're buying these houses just because it's a pile of junk or it's a crappy house, it doesn't mean it's a good deal. And listen, something that I had a hard time understanding for a long time is who in the world would sell you their house for less than it's worth or for under market value? It made zero sense to me. But listen to this. You're not buying from everyday sellers, excuse me. Understand why people sell under market value. So here's the thing. Understand this. This is one of the most important reasons, or one of the biggest reasons there's so much opportunity created right now with the coronavirus, with the shift in the market, with the down cycle we're potentially heading into, in our professional opinion, right? This is one of the biggest ones. What happens is you need to find homeowners that are in a situation where they need to get rid of their house fast, okay? There's a lot of reasons for this. Maybe they inherited the house and they don't want to deal with it. Maybe they got a new job offer. They have to move out of state, so they have to sell their house. And you guys can imagine right now, I'm pretty sure when people are losing their jobs, they'll do just about anything to be able to make sure they can support their family. That might mean taking a job across the country or in a different state. So a lot of this stuff is amplified at a time like this. They might be underneath their payments, right? They can't pay their mortgage. Now, think about this, and we get deeper into it in a second. All these people that aren't paying their mortgages, the unemployment, all the people that are losing their jobs. Now, if you went to them before all this happened and they were in a great situation and they could afford their bills and nothing was wrong, and you offered them less than, or you offered them under market value to sell their house, there's no reason they'd want to do that, because they're not motivated, because they just don't need to. But in a situation like this, they have to sell their house. There's nothing they can do. And again, I'm going to leave it at that for a second, because we're going to circle back to this deeper. But you're buying houses based on the seller situation. It's not necessarily based on the value of the property. And that's why there's so much huge opportunity opening up right now, because you're going to see way more of this in the next several months and next couple of years, right? Now, knowing how to read the market. Now, this is what one of the things we talked about earlier. Tarek expanded a little bit in the beginning. Absorption rate is really about, how fast are the houses selling on the market. Now, let's talk about it right now. In a down cycle, in the market that we're in right now, in the market we're heading into, what you're going to see is the supply of houses is going to go way up and the demand is going to go way down, because the average time that these houses are listed is going to be way longer. People aren't buying as many houses right now. Right now, it's specifically because of quarantine, right?
And a few months from now, all the people that have not been putting their homes for sale are going to be putting their houses for sale. So we're going to have a whole bunch of new properties hitting the market. That's really going to increase supply.
So again, it's compounding. Not only are there going to be more people that are in situations that need to sell fast, listing it as a regular listing on the MLS with an agent through a traditional sales process isn't going to be an option for a lot of them. All right. Now, using comparables to know the value of your properties. Tarek, I'd like you to talk to them about comping real quick. This is something that you taught me, and I don't think there's anyone else I know that's better at comping.
Yeah. So like when I talk about comping, I know it can feel overwhelming. But I like to say, just use common sense, right? Just think about that. Use common sense. You're comparing similar properties. Can you compare a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house with a 5-bedroom, 5-bath, 6,000 square foot house? No, they're completely different. Can you compare a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house with a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot house? Yes, you can. So you just got to remember, compare apples with apples and oranges with oranges. If you start comparing apples with oranges, you're going to get in trouble.
Right. And I think one of the things that I always think about when we're talking about comps, and by the way, you use comps to find the property's after repair value.
And guys, if you guys don't know what a comp is a comparable sale. So it's a property sold similar to the one that you're talking about.
So if you're selling your house, or if you're investing and you have a property and you need to figure out how much it's going to be worth after it's fixed up, which is the after repair value, you're going to use these comps to help you to determine what is the value after repair. Just remember that. All right. And like Tarek said, a crappy house does not make it a good deal. Now, even if it's a crappy house, if it's not a great house, if it needs a lot of work, you still need to buy it under market value to have room for profit.
Or lock up a contract under market value and wholesale the contract, meaning you're never buying anything.
And the inverse of that is true as well. And this is another reason there's so much opportunity that's going to be creative here. Listen to this. You don't need to find horrible deals. You don't need to find horrible houses. And there's something called soft flips and clean and lists. And let me tell you what that's all about. Let's look at this house really quickly here. A soft flip or a clean and list. First of all, a soft flip is when you're doing very minor work. It might be painting, it might be some of the flooring, it might be some of the landscaping. It's just some touch-ups that you're gonna do to make the house a little bit nicer, a little bit more presentable before you're actually selling it. And a clean and list is exactly how it sounds. So a clean and list, you literally clean it and you list it. Now, why is this important right now? Here's why it's important right now. Because if you have a lot of people losing their jobs or going unemployed and all these crazy things are happening where there's a bunch of motivated sellers that have to sell fast and they can't sell on the MLS, right? Just recapping all that, you're going to find a lot more deals that they might not be pile of junks, right? They might just need a little bit of work, but the person has to get out of the house.
Right. So right now with everything before coronavirus and before everything going on, the majority of houses are major fixer-uppers, let's be real. But because of what's happening with COVID and the recession, a lot of people are going to be selling their houses, not because of the condition, but because of their situation. So what I'm saying is I can't tell you how many times I've bought properties, put $1,000 or $2,000 into them and just flipped them, because I bought a house that was in good condition and I got below market value based on a situation.
And Tark, this is a good time for us to say this. Listen, I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation, and I love having it because it gives me a chance to explain it thoroughly to somebody. Is, you know, some people will hear this and say, you know, oh, well, you know, you're taking advantage of their situation, or, you know, is that the right thing to do because they're in a pinch? And here's the truth of it. Whatever situation these people are in, whatever thing that they're going through that makes them have to sell, let me tell you this, and I assure you that this is the truth of it. If they had another option where they can sell it for more money, they would do it all day. So why I say that is because a lot of the times the investor is their last option and we're their stress reliever. Yeah. Listen, if this person has to move across the country in a matter of days to get a new job that they need to support their family, and they can't list it and wait for months for a house that doesn't sell, that they're going to eventually have to do a bunch of price reductions on, and they can come to us and we'll take it off their hands, they're willing to take less, and we're their solution.
Yeah, and here's something that's important to understand, guys. When I say solution, a lot of times, most times, they're extremely happy that I'm buying their house because I'm getting them what they need, and they can move on with their life. Again, I'm buying off situations. You got to remember that.
Awesome. And so now, just to kind of recap all these things we said, and we've mentioned it, it's hard to explain the rest without it, but let's focus on this for a second, right? Now you're understanding why there's so many opportunities that are being created in a time like this. Listen, I took this from the New York Times, I took this from Wall Street Journal, and I'm sure you've all heard of it. There are now exceeded 16 million people that have filed for unemployment, unless I misunderstand that, but I know it's in the millions. There's a lot of people that have filed for unemployment because of this, right? Over 2 million, and this has actually gone up now, Tark corrected me this morning, over 2 million homeowners weren't able to make their mortgage payment. So, you know, the information's out there. And here's the thing, if you're educated, if you have the right knowledge, if you know how all of this works, you're gonna know why there's so many houses that are going to be great deals for real estate investors. And it's because of this right here. This is what's happening. And, you know, I'm not going to get deep into this. It's a whole other conversation, but I've had a couple of people kind of challenge that and talk about forbearance, and, you know, they're doing everything they can to fix it. Listen, here's the thing. If somebody can't pay their mortgage payment for several months, and at some point they do owe that money, there's no way they're just going to be able to live in a house and not pay their mortgage payment forever. Trust me when I say this is going to happen a lot. All right, so now I want to say this. We talked about throwing this on the screen for you guys, and we're going to talk you through it. One day I asked Tarek, I said, you know what, dude, I just wish that there was an equation for all of this. I wish there was a formula to flipping houses. And he goes, well, yeah, of course there is. There's a formula for anything. And so, you know, for some of you that are watching this, I'm sure some of you are even taking notes. You know, this is a good one to talk about. So here's the house flipping equation, right? You take your ARV, it's a whole reverse engineering process. You take the after repair value, you minus the closing and commission costs that it takes to sell it, you subtract the rehab costs, what it took to fix it up, you subtract the carrying costs, because most of us will have loans from hard money lenders, Then just take out how much you want to make on the house, and you come to your maximum allowable offer. Now, I know some of you are trying to write fast or trying to understand that really quickly. We're going to expand on it right now, so don't worry.
And guys, think about how easy that is to find out what you can offer on a property. It is a number minus a number minus a number minus a number minus a number, and that's what you can offer. So I try to simplify house flipping as much as possible.
Great. And Tarek, I think that they'd appreciate, let's actually take them through this. How do you calculate the after repair value? Just take them through the basics of this formula real quick.
Okay, sure. So I'll just run a random scenario. So let's just say I'm looking at buying a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house in Anaheim, California. I run that property. The comparable sales in the area tell me that after it's fixed up and it looks nice, the most I can sell it for is $600,000. Now I take $600,000. I know it's going to cost me $100,000 to make it look nice enough to sell for $600,000. So $600,000 ARV minus $100,000 in rehab puts me at $500,000. I know I'm going to have about $25,000 in closing costs and commission. That's going to put me at $500,000 minus $25,000 is $475,000. Let's just say I bought it cash. There's no carrying costs. So if I paid $475,000 for this house I'm talking about today, and I fixed it up and I sold it for $600,000, I would make $0. So how do you make profit? $600,000 minus $100,000 in rehab is $500,000. Minus $25,000 in closing costs and commission is $475,000. Now I need to make money. Well, on this deal, I want to make 50 grand. 475 minus 50 is 425. My maximum allowable offer for this property is 425,000.
Awesome. Yeah, I love when he goes through the math. I know it can be a little bit challenging to keep up with it, but it's really that simple. There's only a few variables that you have to understand to be able to do that equation every time. And by the way, I want to answer this for them real quick. Typically, you want to make about 10 to 15% net, right?
Yeah.
Net.
Yes.
So just for those of you who heard the 50,000 number at the end, and you might ask yourselves, well, do you just come up with how much you want to make? Well, no, he has a way to do that. And typically you want to fall between 10 to 15% as your profit margin.
And here's another thing to consider with what's happening in the market right now. I'm doing a lot less flipping and a lot more wholesaling. And wholesaling is great because you don't have the exposure that you have when you're flipping. You don't need to buy the property. You don't need to fix the property. All you got to do is find the seller and find the third-party buyer and assign your contract and make a fee.
Awesome. So now we're talking about that. I hope a lot of that's making sense, but a lot of us are still looking at this saying, okay, well, I don't have the money to do that, right? And this is when other people's money, OPM, becomes extremely valuable. And look, there's over 20 ways to fund deals, and we're not going to go into all of them. I just want to mention 4. And Tarek, I want you to expand on your story of when you bought your first house. I think it's interesting the things that you did to actually round up that initial capital to purchase your first deal. But real quick before he does that, the 4 things are hard money lenders, peer-to-peer loans, credit cards, believe it or not, and partnerships. You can partner with someone that has money. And Tarek, tell them about what you did on your first deal and talk a little bit about how you still fund deals today.
Yeah, sure. So on that first deal, it was right out of the recession. I was totally broke. I watched other people flipping houses, making a fortune, and I'm sitting on the sidelines just like all of you that aren't flipping, thinking, why in the hell am I not flipping houses? Like my eyes are open and I'm watching people make money, and I'm asking myself, what are you waiting for? So I went for it. I pitched everybody I knew trying to get money to partner with me to flip houses. Guess what? They all said no, which is normal. Like, okay, hey, I'm 28 years old. I'm totally broke. I just lost everything. Will you give me money? Right? So the majority said no, but I kept going. And I finally found someone that decided to partner with me. And we went in 50-50 on that first condo. And I had to come up with about $60,000. I had a little bit of money because of 2 years of the recession. So I sold my Rolex watch. I drained all my savings accounts and I borrowed against my credit cards and I bought that first flip. Here's the good news, guys. Anybody involved with my program that is out there that is finding deals, if they're looking for someone to sell a property to, guess what? I'm the buyer. Like I will buy any deal in the country. So the good thing for you guys is if you go out there and you live in Knoxville or you live in North Carolina and you come a great property and you need to sell it to someone, well, you send it to me and I'm your buyer.
Yeah, any deal in the country that the numbers make sense on.
I mean, that the numbers make sense. If you're doing your job right, the numbers will make sense.
Awesome. And now when it comes to hard money, this is the one that we want to focus in on, because here's when I said in the beginning, I want to debunk some of these myths. A lot of people might have heard this, you can start flipping houses without having, a bunch of your own money or good credit. And a lot of people are like, that doesn't even make sense. And obviously the money has to come from somewhere, but a lot of the times this is what people are referring to when they say that.
And let me say something, guys. If you had a FICO score of 4 and you haven't had a job in 10 years and you never worked a day in your life and you brought me a house worth $500,000 for $200,000, I'm pretty sure I would take you to dinner. So what I'm saying is I really don't care about your credit or your income. What people care about is the deal. So if you learn how to find deals, which we're going to teach you, you're going to be able to be successful. You just got to implement and you got to work your tail off.
Yeah, and that's some of where that hope comes from, right? That hope for opportunity is that you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to go buy a house to start flipping. Tarek didn't do it. A lot of people don't do that, right? So let's talk about how hard money works. So first of all, there's short-term loans, right? Now, Tarek, you could add to this if you'd like to, but traditional lenders like banks, right? They are not going to give you a loan for a 3 to 6 month loan. They're not going to give you a 3 to 6 month loan, because the way that their loans are set up is to make money, over the long term. That's why a lot of these mortgages are a 30-year, right? So with these hard money lenders, they're set up to make money in the short term. Now, the main thing, without getting too deep on hard money, that I want you to understand is that they don't primarily qualify based on your personal information like traditional lenders do. Now, look, listen to this. If you have terrible credit and you have zero money and you have zero skin in the game, it doesn't look good for you, but it does not mean that you can't get a deal. Obviously, those things still help because they want to take the right risks, right? However, the way that hard money lenders actually look at these things when they're qualifying someone is they're looking at the value of the asset. They run their own numbers and they're also looking at the after repair value. Tarek, why is that? Why are they looking at the after repair value when deciding on when to give a loan?
Because they're the ones who are giving you the money and they want to make sure that you're going to pay the money back. And one of the great things about hard money lenders is if you go into a deal and their numbers are completely different than yours, they might actually help you because you're not going to be buying that property and you're not going to get yourself in trouble. So that's what it does.
Yeah, so if one of the hard money lenders is giving you a loan and they know that you already have equity the second you buy that house because you bought it under market value, and they can tell, yeah, this does have an after repair value of X, meaning there's a good spread and a lot of room for a potential profit margin, they're going to feel better and they're going to feel like it's less of a risk giving you a loan on that property. So some of the best practices for this stuff, guys, and there's a lot of information out there on this, is that something Tarek tells me all the time is if you find a great deal, the deal will find money, right? It makes it way easier if you have a great deal and you take it to a hard money lender because they're going to want to loan you.
So here's one thing that I always knew about house flipping, because you got to remember this. When I got into this business, I didn't know anything, but I knew one thing. If I can find properties at a low price, I could figure out the rest. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. If you get the property at the right price, if you know how to find those deals, the rest is going to fall into place.
Awesome. And when it comes to construction, one thing that we wanted to talk about on this webinar is how, I thought when you started flipping houses, you need to learn everything there is to know about construction. I thought I literally had to become a contractor and then come back and start looking at the numbers. But that's not the truth at all. And something that Tarek always says is, manage one person who manages the rest.
Yeah.
If you find a solid contractor, guys, it's going to be one of the best relationships you could ever have as a real estate investor.
Right. And my style of flipping houses is different. Like I'm not the guy that's going to teach you to go work on the house yourself and do 1 or 2 homes a year. I'm the guy that's going to teach you to delegate everything and do 100 or try to do 100 homes a year. So I'm all about building a big real estate investing business. I'm not big on you getting out there swinging hammers and laying floor and painting houses. I want you to be an investor, not a contractor.
Right. And the last thing, again, tying it to the market that we're going into right now, typically construction costs get cheaper in a down market, right? It's a little bit harder to find work. Some of the new construction has halted. Different things happen where the cost of construction gets cheaper. Now, if you remember the equation that we were talking about earlier, That's the most expensive part. That's the biggest expense as an investor. So if your biggest expense gets drastically cheaper, it's another reason why it's a huge opportunity in a time like this. Now, is that all making sense? All the things coming together? You're buying houses cheaper than you usually ever can. It's cheaper to actually fix them than it usually is. But there's one last piece to this, and you guys are probably wondering, well, who else is going to buy that house? This is my favorite thing to talk about because people always wonder this, right? So here's the last piece to this, guys. Not the last piece of the webinar, but the last piece of this equation. Then I'm going to explain a few more things for you here. Is that selling houses in a down market, right? Here's what you have to understand. Because you're buying an asset cheaper than you usually ever can, you're buying it under market value. Because you're able to fix it up cheaper than you usually can, you're going to end up with the nicest house at that price point, right? So one of the things Tarek always says is the price sells the house. So imagine in this hard time when people are having a hard time selling their houses, you come on the market with the house that's the nicest one in that price range, right? Now, I want to talk to you guys about something really quickly here. People think that in a recession or in a downturn, houses stop selling, and it's just not true. There's a lot of panic and fear, and the media wants you to believe all these different things. But here's from a legitimate website. I cited it right here. In 2008 and 2009, the very bottom of the market, there was still over 4 million houses sold in this country. 4 million houses sold, right? Now, who's buying these houses, right? Well, this is why I said to pay attention earlier when I was referencing earlier about the rental properties and the buy and hold strategies. These types of investors are looking to buy assets at the bottom of the market, but they want them to be move-in ready a lot of the time. They want it to be simple. They want to just be able to get a tenant in there and have the rent being paid for until they can hold it at the top of the next market and sell it off, right? So there's a whole other investment strategy out there, and that strategy is you're perfectly feeding into it. Those are the people that want to buy the houses from you. And on top of that, there's a lot more buyers out there that are still getting into homes.
And here's something to consider, guys. Regardless of the economy, regardless of the cycle, regardless of anything, doesn't matter what day it is, every single day across the country, people are getting in cars and looking at houses and writing offers. People are buying homes every single day across the country for different reasons, regardless of the economy.
Awesome. All right here. So listen, investors take action. We're talking about in this down cycle, all this opportunity created. If you're watching this, I mean, I'm sure that you have seen why there's so many opportunity. It isn't one thing, isn't two things. There are so many things that are compounding right now, creating massive opportunity for investors. But like I said earlier, investors, to be a successful investor, you need to be able to spot an opportunity and you need to be able to take action fast. And one of the last things I want to say on that note here is talking about a zero-sum game. So let me define this for you real quick. It's actually interesting. A zero-sum game is a mathematical representation of a situation in which the participants' gain or loss of utility is exactly balanced by the losses or gains of the utility of the other participants. Let me just explain what that means because it's confusing. Money doesn't just disappear in times like this. Do you ever think about that? I mean, it doesn't just evaporate. All that happens is it changes hands. And that's why so many people say the wealthy get wealthy in a down market, right? And it's because they're on the right side of that equation. So my question for you when you're watching this and when it's making sense for you, what side of the equation do you want to be on, right? The opportunity is so big right here, guys. You have the excuse that you need to switch gears. You have the direction, which is this webinar. I hope we provided that to you. We hope that you learned a lot of things and you had some eye-opening stuff here. And the economic climate, it's just the perfect timing. Everything that needs to line up has, right?
So pretty much, if you've ever thought about being a real estate investor, like this is the time. No joke, guys. Like I am so excited about what's to come because of the opportunity. And if you guys have ever thought about real estate, like now's the time because opportunity is knocking and it only knocks so often. When that sucker knocks, you better open that door.
And a couple more super valuable things that we want to talk to you about today and we want to give you here today. And then I know a lot of you guys I already see in the chat box are asking all kinds of questions. So I want to get to those. Let's talk about homeschool, guys. I told you we'd give you guys an opportunity at the end of this webinar. It's the first time, we just announced it. And, initially we're talking about, we're going to go to market with this product at about $1,500. And, even a lot of people are telling us, you're crazy. Courses are going for way more than that, and they don't have half the stuff that you guys have. But we're looking at this, and we're looking at the situation, and it feels like the right thing to do.
Well,
right?
let me jump in on this here, too. Josh did twist my arm quite a bit for this. This is mostly Josh's idea, but I'm just kidding. Listen, I know it's hard times right now, guys, and we're all struggling a little bit. So I just want to make it as easy as possible to get into this course and start working real estate. So here's the offer.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of you watch this and you might have, scratched that itch, but a lot of you are watching this. You see the opportunity, you're ready to take action, and you're like, well, there's still quite a few gaps that we need to fill in, and we want to be a resource for that.
So here it is, guys. Like this is the actual course where I sit down on camera and take you A through Z in house flipping, like how to find houses, how to fix houses, how to sell houses, how to wholesale houses, everything about houses.
And this is the first time Tarek has ever done this. He's never sat in front of camera.
Hopefully the last time, by the way, because it is not easy shooting 48 videos.
He'll tell you it's the hardest thing he ever did.
Yeah.
I'll tell you it's the hardest thing I ever did. But it's great. I mean, he sat there. This took so long. We've been working on it for months and months and months. And initially, we were not planning on launching this right now. We weren't. But we wanted to because of the time, because of what everyone's going through, and we've just been working around the clock to get that to you. So listen, let me talk about some of the things that you're going to learn in here. So the first thing is that you're going to learn multiple ways to find your first investment, okay? You're going to learn how to analyze these deals, how to evaluate these deals like a pro. Tarek's going to talk about how he runs comps, how he determines the after repair value, how to buy these houses even with poor credit or even if you don't have a ton of money, how to fund deals using other people's money, getting loans based on the after repair value, putting together repair budgets. I mean, there is so much stuff that he goes into depth in this course on. Now, additionally, for the next 48 hours, for the people that recognize the opportunity and they're ready to take action and take those next steps, we are doing a fast action launch bonus. And listen, we think it's about $1,000 value. It's hard to say because Tarek just never does stuff like this, and I'm super happy that he agreed to. We know that some of you obviously are at home and it's in this quarantine situation. We wanted to give you some more value that you can actually watch and learn. So this is all specific to what's going on right now on top of the course. This is market condition coaching, and what this is going to be, it's going to be 4 weeks long. It's about an hour-long coaching session every single week. And what we're going to talk about is the direction of the market, understanding it more intimately, the investment opportunities created, analyzing today's deals and how to evaluate them even when the market is still going downward, and sales and negotiation strategies specific for investors. Now, here's the offer right here, guys. This is going to be today only. It's $497 that we're launching this out here. And we're going to get in some Q&A because I know people have a lot of questions. Don't worry, I do see you here. It's $497 if you take action in the next 48 hours here.
I still think that's a typo. So as you can see, guys, we worked our tails off on this. And I said a minute ago, like with everything going on, this is the launch. And it's really important to me that you guys really start working on it, start changing your life. So that's why we just put together this amazing price offer and the 4 1-hour live trainings. Like those aren't going to be around forever. I'm just doing that for the first group.
Awesome, guys. And let's go ahead and get into a live Q&A here. I want you guys to see that offer that should be displayed on the screen here right now. Let's go ahead and start getting into some of these questions. So Tarek, oh, wow, we've got quite a few questions here. Let's start knocking them out here. So first one, how do we find a good deal and where do we go to find good houses or to find good deals?
Well, that's the point where you need to learn how to find property. So in the course, we break down exactly how you find them, where you find them, and what you do when you find them. So that's why the course is so important, because if you don't know how to find houses, you're not going to have houses to flip. All right, we got a lot of questions coming in. Sorry, guys, we got a lot of people. Do we talk about the BRRRR method? No, we do not talk about the BRRRR method, but we have additional courses that will probably be coming out discussing rentals. So this one is primarily focused on fix and flip. But yeah, the BRRRR method is great. I've used it myself over and over and over.
Yeah, and I would say, for the person who's asking about the BRRRR method, obviously you'd know that the first half or more of the BRRRR method is going to be the fixing strategies. I mean, you still got to be able to do most of the things that you're going to do in a fix and flip strategy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what method you're using. The hardest part is finding the actual property. And this course teaches you how to find that property. That's the hard part.
So one of the questions here is using, this is actually an interesting one. I'm glad they asked it. Is using a HELOC loan a good way to fund a deal?
Absolutely. And here's why. And by the way, these are no guarantees. I'm just giving rough estimates. If you can pull a HELOC on your house and borrow at, say, 4%, right? And you take that money and you invest in real estate and bring a return of, say, 12%. What you're doing is you're taking the bank's money and making 8% with their money. So even though you now have a payment based off 4%, the money's making you 12%. So now you can make that 4% payment and put cash in your pocket.
Awesome. So how do you find hard money lenders? That's a great question. Actually, we have a whole module on that in the course. Let me real quick before you answer that, talk about the modules in the course.
And I'm sorry, Josh, and real quick, inside the course, we're actually going to be referring you to all of our affiliates and all of our key assets.
Awesome. You know what? Somebody asked if they can see you real quick. Let's go ahead and turn this
live,
on.
Guys. I'm right here.
That's a good question. I'm going to stop presenting. Let's read this next one real quick. There we go. Okay, so yeah, so they're asking where to find hard money lenders. So in this course, let's talk. Here's the main modules that you're going to have in this course. So we're going to talk about the fundamentals of real estate, talking about understanding some of these main concepts that we were just talking about. We're going to talk about finding deals, funding deals, fixing properties, and flipping for profits. Those are the main modules here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process, right? Like the first thing you got to do is find the house, right? So I spent a lot of times going into detail on exactly how I find houses. And for me, like my specialty is off-market houses. As an investor, I don't want to compete with other investors. As an investor, I don't want to write an offer against 10 other offers. So what is the best way to make money with real estate? Less competition. So for me, I love going direct to the owner and negotiating with the owner and keeping away the competition. And do we have any more questions coming in here, Josh?
Yeah, so one of the questions is, how do they find these hard money lenders? Let's talk about some ways there.
I mean, there are so many different ways to find hard money lenders. In the course, I actually refer you guys to the hard money lenders that I personally use. But it's as simple as, talking to other investors, using Google. I mean, listen, you guys can just put where you're at, put hard money lending, check the internet, talk to people. Yeah. But more importantly, you guys can use the people that I use, because within the course, I actually share my key contacts.
Let me actually expand on that and maybe help the question there, because I think a better question to ask, it's easy to find hard money lenders. You can find them all over the place. What do you evaluate in making a decision with a hard money lender? So what are some of the things that you should look at to know if it's a good hard money lender or if it's a good loan?
Sure. Like the first thing you want to know is, what are they charging you to get the loan? That would be the points, right? You want to know how much they're going to charge you to get the loan. You also want to know what is the interest rate they're charging you to get the loan. You also want to know how long the loan is for. So you just need to make sure you understand financials. There are a lot of numbers involved, and those numbers add up. Here's the good news. Within the course, we teach you how to do everything. And what are we selling this thing for? Like $500?
$497.
Yeah. So, I mean, for $497, you're getting the entire course that we put together. And also you're getting the 4 one-hour coaching calls with me. And I mean, guys, I can't think of a better deal like ever. When I was 20 years old, I was paying $1,000 a month for real estate coaching. And this whole program is like $500. And it's because of the coronavirus and because of everything that's going on. And this is just my way of saying thank you and giving back and really making it possible for almost anyone to get started, right? So you just got to take that first step. And for me, the reason I'm successful today is because I just get started. I'm a huge believer in just taking that first step, because the only way to learn is by doing. The only way to learn is by actually doing. The only way you can actually do is by getting educated. So I'm a big believer in that.
So where are some of the best places to buy houses? And this is a question we just got, and maybe we should talk about some of the worst places to buy houses.
Yeah, I mean, the best places to buy houses really anywhere in the country that has a solid real estate market, or where you're at. So it doesn't matter where you're at. The best place to start is around your home, within an hour, within 2 hours. And you know, it's amazing what you can find on the internet. If you Google the best rental or house flipping markets in 2021, it's going to tell you the best markets. Like for me, I'm loving California. Obviously, I'm in California. We're doing business in Texas, doing business in Ohio, Atlanta, Utah, North Carolina, South Carolina, and we're just scaling. And also, we just got into Chicago.
Awesome. Another question here is, what are some of the best ways to get good at comping?
Well, it's like anything in life. The only way to get good at anything you do, which I tell my kids every freaking day, is by practice. So you do the same thing over and over and over, and eventually it becomes second nature. Eventually it becomes routine, and eventually you're a professional. So how do you get there? Well, you just get started. That's why I keep saying you got to get started. You got to take action. You got to take the first step.
Awesome. Do you talk about anything in the course on how to design?
Of course I talk about design, right? Like you buy a house, you need to know how to make it look. So within the course, I break down the easiest, fastest way to design the house to get the most amount of money possible. So really, like everything to find, fix, and sell, you get everything from me plus 4-hour calls for $500. Like that is a deal. I couldn't imagine a better deal.
Awesome. So let me find, I know there's so many questions. We're going to spend the time here, guys. I know this is important.
But I do have to go film in a minute here.
Yeah. So if we join, do we have unlimited access to the videos? Yes, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, once you join, guys, you're gonna get the entire video program, and it's called Homeschool because you're gonna be watching it and studying it and learning it. The best thing is you watch each video 100 times if you want to until you completely understand it. That's the amazing thing about it. All the content is there. You just gotta study it.
Awesome. So
someone asked me if this works for mobile home houses. I mean, I'm sure it does, but why would you do that when you can go flip a normal house?
So it says, how do we get the call? So I'm going to assume there, what do you think? I thought they were talking about how to be on the Zoom calls. So if you're talking about how to be on the market condition coaching, as soon as you go to purchase this, obviously right away when you purchase it, you get access to the course immediately. And then we send you the link that will actually give you all the access to the 4 trainings over the next 4 weeks. So you're going to get an email today with all of the information of what's to follow, but you get the course access immediately.
Yeah, and guys, if you're ready, like go sign up for the course right now. The webinar is over. It's time to get started. So like sign up for the trainings, get access to the content. Let's go. Let's run. Like opportunities here. Coronavirus is around. The lending market is failing. Homeowners are missing their payments. So what do? You got to know what to do. So you got to sign up.
Awesome. I see a lot of people talking about how they purchased it. That's awesome.
I have a few properties that I can make 110, but they're all cash bids. How can I sell them to you for a profit? If you want to sell them to me for a profit, once you join the program, you can send us an email and I will take a look at it.
Awesome. I just purchased, but have some questions. How do you fix and flip in the winter when there's snow?
Well, we don't have much snow in California, but my best guess would be talk to a contractor and ask that contractor how other flippers remodel homes during snow season.
Yeah, and that's actually, I see 3 questions in a row about contractors. So this would be an important one to talk about. They're talking about how do you get a good contractor?
Again, in the course, I tell you exactly how to find a contractor. And it's not rocket science. It's a lot easier than you think. And it comes down to common sense. And I explain it very clearly. So for like $500, only $500, you get everything.
Right. And the contractor really is the most important relationship, I'd say, when you're fixing a house. I mean, especially if you want to scale, you need to be able to have that relationship you can depend on, you can rely on, you can trust, and they're going to be the ones that you use over and over.
Yeah, and here's why here's the difference. When the market's going down or the market's not as strong, I prefer wholesaling versus flipping. When the prices are going up, I prefer flipping versus wholesaling. But let me explain why. When the prices are going up, I like to flip the house because if it takes 4 months to do the construction and every month the market is going up, by the time I'm done with the construction, the value of the home is actually raised. You see, so you're timing the market up. When the prices are going down, if you take 4 months for the construction, by the time you're done, the house will be worth less than when you started. So it all comes down to timing.
So, hey, for Mary, I saw 1 or 2 questions on this. Is there a way to pay without using PayPal? Absolutely. If you look just beneath that, it will just say use debit or credit card. So just keep a lookout for that. But of course, you can use whichever payment option you're most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And by the way, I want to say this. We have not even released this offer anywhere. It's announced and released privately on this webinar. If you're on this webinar, you're the only one legitimately that has seen this offer at all.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be here for 48 hours. And then, of course, if you miss that window, if you're not ready, you can still buy the course. It will go to the $14.97 price. But if you want to take action, if you want to get on the calls with Tarek, if you want to learn about the market, and if you want to start today for 75% off, that's what that offer is today for the next 48 hours.
It's a good deal. He sold me on this deal. It's a good deal, Josh.
I think it's going to be good for a lot of people here.
It is. It is.
Let's see. Let's get a few more good questions here. Does the course discuss how to build your team? Absolutely. Go ahead, Tarek.
You need to have a power team. If you don't have a power team, you're not going to be able to make a lot of money, and you're not going to be able to do volume. So you need to have the right people. You need the right real estate agents, the right suppliers. You need the right contractors. So in the course, of course, I show you exactly how to put that together.
In the course, of course, my horse.
In the course, of course, of course, of course. Nothing is of course, of course.
Do you ever stage a house? Also in the course. Let's give him a little bit about this.
Staging is a case-by-case scenario. So like all the houses that I put on the show, I stage them because they look better for TV. But if I'm flipping a property that is in a good neighborhood, but maybe the lot kind of sucks, or the house layout kind of sucks, or the location within the neighborhood kind of sucks, I would stage that house and try to sell it for more money because it's still going to appraise. But most time I don't stage houses because after they're fixed up, they're already so nice that I'm going to sell it for the highest price possible. And if I stage it and I sell it for more, a lot of times it's not going to appraise, so the price comes down anyways. So all these things are in the course. How many hours of footage did we film?
A lot. A lot, yeah.
So like every single question I'm pretty sure is in the course, guys. Like that's what it's there for. Like I've been working in this industry for 20 years. I've been flipping houses for 10 years. I've been on TV for like 8 years, all about flipping houses. And this is what I do and this is what I love.
Awesome. Somebody did ask, what's the difference between Homeschooled and Homemade Investor, which is a good question. Homemade Investor is Tarek's education brand. It's his real estate education brand. Homeschooled is the name of the product, right? So Homeschooled is the video course that we're talking about here. That's the one you're going to get access to if you take action right now. We're talking about Homeschooled, the video course.
Yes.
And what a great name for the time, right?
Yeah. By the way, everybody's homeschooling their kids. I like the name Homeschooled.
You can homeschool with your kids. I am a real estate broker and want to flip, but I need a good contractor. I think we covered a good amount of contractors.
Every single
here.
question that I've seen so far is in the course. And that's why I finally put a course together, because all day, every day, people text me, they call me, they email me, they message me, and I just can't answer everybody. So one day I was like, you know what? We're going to do this course thing. And it was a huge challenge. We pulled it off, and I'm just excited because today's the day.
Yeah, and Tessa, our administrator on here, if you can hear us, let's make sure we just post that link for them one more time. Let's put it in the chat box. I want everyone to be able to see that, 75% off discount code. Let's just put that.
Wait, someone just asked me if they're too old to start at 50. Was I too young to start at 20? Because everybody told me I was too young, and everybody told me I was too crazy. And by the way, 50 that is young. Like, get started with real estate. If you started real estate now, imagine where you'll be in 5 years. Imagine where you can be in 10 years. Think about that. That's a long time.
Yeah, and Tim, it said, can I buy this course as a gift? Of course, absolutely. What I'd say you want to do, just buy the course, and we have support information in there, and you'll be able to contact us. We'll walk you through the whole process of switching the information. That'd be my best recommendation of how to do it. So buy the course. We'll get whoever you're buying it for the right login information. We'll be able to switch that out for you. That'd be the easiest way for us to just walk you through it.
Yeah, someone just asked me if you give contractors or lenders a piece of your profit. Yeah, I pay them to do the job, right? I paid them with their bid. So do I give them profit? No. Why would I give them profit? I'm the investor. It's my house. I'm the boss. I hired them. You gotta treat it like a business. You're not giving away money. That's your money. You fight for your money.
Robert, I bought this. Awesome.
You do not use PayPal. People keep saying they don't use PayPal. Right near the PayPal area, you can sign up through credit card.
Awesome. Let's see here. But if the process going down. So we cover this a bit in the webinar, and we do talk about this in the course too. But Kathy is asking if the process are going down, I think she's trying to say if the market's going down, is it going to be harder to sell your house?
She's asking if the market's going down, is it going to be harder to sell the house? Yes. So that's why I said you make your money when you buy, right? So you need to buy at a good price so you can sell at a good price so you can recoup the profit. And that's what the program shows you. All right. Well.
Okay. How many people lost our militaries?
Yeah, Airbnb is really hurting right now. So think about how many people own Airbnb properties. Think about that. How many of those people are going to have to sell those properties? A lot of them. And who are they going to sell them to when it's last minute and they have nowhere else to go? I'm thinking of real estate investors.
Awesome. Tom just made a purchase. Great. Natalie, awesome.
Great job, Tom. Let's do this. I can't wait for the 1 hour calls, guys. I'm excited. I'm going to bring it.
Yvette just bought. I love you. Thank you, Tarek.
You guys, I'm so excited about this. This is like my passion, my life, everything I believe in. And this is the first chance I get to like really work with you guys. So I'm just thrilled.
What is the next step after you get your license? So we actually do talk about even that in the course, but talk a little bit about getting your license. They're talking about your real estate license.
Oh, so you don't need a real estate license to do this, but it makes things a lot easier when you have one. And I explain why with the course. Here's the good news for anyone that joins the program. I also have a real estate team. So anyone that joins the program actually can personally join my real estate team. So that's another exciting bonus.
Yeah, and to expand even further on that, no, you're saying, do you need a real estate license essentially? Now, the reasons it's important to have, or the reasons it would be valuable is because, you'll learn how to comp better. I mean, you're halfway there is what we say.
Yeah.
You'll have a lot of skill sets that will be helpful in real estate investing. However, in the course, we teach you a lot of the things that you would learn in the process of becoming an agent. And we also talk about how to build your mentorship and your power team around you. So you really don't need a license, although long-term,
it makes it a lot easier. And here's the thing, guys. Like I'm not doing one webinar and then falling off the face of the planet. Like Homemade Investor, homeschooled, that is the next 30 years of our life. Like that is what I'm working on for the next 30 years. I will teach more people how to invest in real estate than anyone has ever done in the entire history of the world. That is my life's goal. I want to help as many people as possible find success, and not only financial success, mental success through real estate. Because I can't tell you how much better I feel about myself just finding success, and how much better you feel just knowing you've accomplished.
Awesome. So a few more people. Mary, awesome. Just saw that. We're excited to have you. So a few people are asking for you to cover a little bit more of what's inside the course. So let's talk about that one more time and recap it if they missed it. So what are the types of things that we're teaching in this course?
So here's what's in the course. And if you guys just pay attention, we're going to teach you how to find the properties. That's the first step. After you find the properties, you got to fix them and fund them or whatever it might be. We're going to teach you how to do that. And then the last step, we're going to teach you how to get rid of the properties. So A to Z, how to flip a house is what we're teaching you. So I keep getting questions. They're all inside the course because it's from finding to flipping for a profit. So everything you're looking to find is in the course for less than $500.
Yeah, and Caitlin, again for you here, it says, I'm currently in the process of getting my real estate license. Can I still take the course? Absolutely. You do not need a real estate license again. You do not need a license to buy the course whatsoever, or to even be a real estate investor for that matter. Do you teach how to be a hard money lender? We do not teach how to be a hard money lender, no. We teach how to find hard money lenders. We talk about how to negotiate good rates and good terms. I would imagine, based on using that information and knowing how to find good hard money lenders, you could have the conversation with them if you're interested in being a hard money lender.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm reading a comment from Veronica. Can you front me the money after the first flip and I'll pay you double? No, of course not. Why? Because you can do this. It's not that difficult to find properties. You just got to get started, get into the course, and learn how to do it. It's laid out so perfectly for you that I think you're just going to love the way we put it together. And I know you can do it. Like, I know it.
All right. Can more than one person access the course? Can more than so here's what I would say to that. If you're sitting next to each other and two people are watching it, that would be a way to do it and nobody would know, and you can do that. You can't technically create two separate accounts, but be creative.
I mean, technically they could rip us off if they wanted to.
Be creative. You can figure out a way to share it with someone. Tarek and Josh, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ray.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Ray.
Oh, EXP, what's up, Dina? So, hey, guys, believe it or not, I got to go film right now. So I think we're about the end of this thing. I wanted to say thank you, everyone, for jumping on. This has been a big day for us. Me and Josh and Eric over here, we worked really, really hard putting this thing together. And, you know, I'm a pretty successful guy. So, like, this for me is more of a passion project. And it finally just gives me a chance to give back and share what I know about real estate. So if you've ever thought about real estate, sign up for the course. Get started. Right now is the time. And I had a great call today. How about you, Josh?
No, fantastic. I'm super stoked, guys. I want to say this last thing because there's so many more questions. And this is actually something that we definitely should mention here. People are asking if they get personal access to Tarek. They're also asking when they go through the course, if there are more questions, what do they do? And it's a great question. There is going to be a private group for everyone in the course that Tarek personally manages. So he's going to be answering these questions nonstop. We're going to do daily updates. I mean, it's a process. We're involved in this thing. It isn't something you buy and we're disconnected. We're going to be talking about things every single day, updating it with frequently asked questions, and getting you all the answers you need. That would be the personal access portion of it. It's not going to be someone we don't know that's filling these things out. It's going to be Tarek's answers, and we're going to keep putting them in that
It'll
group.
be me. You guys will be sick of me by the time you're done with this.
So, yeah, last thing I'd say, guys, take action. Listen, if Tarek didn't take action a long time ago, and the reason I emphasize this personally is because I wouldn't even be here today if he didn't take action. And that's something I think a lot of us don't realize. It's not about just the course. It's not about what's on the other side of that first step. It's the 100 steps that first one can lead to. And listen, guys, it's such a great opportunity. It's such great timing. Take action. Believe in yourself. Before you invest in anything, you have to invest in yourself. So and I hope a lot of you guys are going to jump in this course.
Yeah, guys, and I keep seeing all these questions. What if I don't have time? How do I do it if I have a job? Everything you want to know is in the course. Take advantage of the offer because it's not going to be here forever. And I got to go film right now. And don't forget a brand new Flipping 101 where I teach people on TV how to flip houses. Airs tonight, 9 p.m., HGTV. Bye, guys.
Thanks so much, everybody.